Hello, today I'm going to be doing an unboxing for you of a purchase I made off Craigslist. This wasn't someone who advertised on Craigslist. They had actually responded to one of my offering to buy comic books and graphic novels ads on Craigslist. And he seemed like kind of a motivated buyer. He wanted to meet that same day and get rid of it. It was apparently his uncle's stuff that he had inherited. It was just kind of an interesting collection, not the normal stuff that I get from my ad on Craigslist. Usually it's, a bunch of overprinted 90s stuff or 2000s, not really worth that much usually that people reach out with. But this guy, the collector, had obviously bought this stuff in the, mid 80s, maybe to the early 90s, and he had kind of an offbeat taste. So a lot of it is reprints of Golden Age stuff or newspaper strip comics. So pretty interesting, and I think you'll enjoy kind of taking a look. But I'll also kind of do an assessment of how I did. So you can see there's kind of like graphic novels. There was a box of, these are all Western pulp magazines. That kind of caught my eye. That was kind of cool. So we had like 6 boxes of, that came in these old printer paper boxes. 6 of those filled with like books and magazines. And then 4 short boxes that was mostly comic books, a few graphic novels. You can see there's a few older comics in there, which I'll show you. But pretty interesting overall, and I think you'll enjoy this video. So we'll see how I did. As I go, I'll show you a running tally of the value. Okay, I'm going to start with box number 1. This is the box of the Western Pulps. This is kind of one of the main things that caught my eye when he reached out to me on Craigslist. This is not the kind of stuff I usually see from one of my ads on Craigslist. Again, not the super valuable pulps, not the detective stuff or the horror stuff, but still pretty cool. So I'm going to put them all up on the board behind me, and then I'm going to show you a closer look. All right, so let's start out with the first of the boxes that are really just paper boxes from printers. This one's filled with kind of graphic novels. So first we have some awesome Donald Duck, Carl Barks reprint sets. So you can see these are big 3 hardcover books inside of a slipcase. Carl Barks, Library of Walt Disney, Donald Duck. Super cool, great condition. They've got a little bit of scuffing on the bottom of the slipcase, but overall super nice. Great big hardcover reprint books. Then we have Superman, the Dailies reprint book in a nice slipcase, hardcover reprint book. So this is reprints of the old Superman comic strip in the newspaper. So this one's all black and white. These were the dailies that were black and white. This is from 1939 to 1942. Nice hardcover book. And we have another Superman. This is Superman the Sunday Classics. Again, really nice hardcover book in a slipcase. This one is the Sundays, so they were in color. So cool Superman reprints of old newspaper strips. This covers 1939 to 1943. So some really cool stuff in there. Get this back into the slipcase without damaging it. Awesome. Then we have Teen Titans, the new Teen Titans Archive Volume 3. This is a reprint series of the 80s strip, the 80s comics. Cool, love these DC Archive Edition books, hardcovers. This one's brand new, still sealed in the shrink wrap. It's a nice buy. Then we have Magnus Robot Fighter, the Gold Key series, reprint edition. These were done by Dark Horse. This is volume 3. Super cool, nice reprints, color, great old stuff. Then final thing in this box is this Captain America, the Classics years. This reprints the early Jack Kirby and Joe Simon stuff. Super cool, 2 hardcover books in a slipcase. Just really nice editions filled with color reprints of the Captain America, the early Golden Age Captain America books. So some great graphic novel reprint editions in this box. And now we'll move on to the next box. All right, on to the next box. This one looks like it's mostly magazines and things, so totally no idea what's in this one. Let's take a look. All right, so we've got some Steve Canyon. These are reprint editions as well, black and white, kind of cool. We got a couple Kelly Greens. These are kind of early graphic novels from the 80s, I believe. Those are pretty nice. Looks like these were kind of stored a little poorly, so they're a little bent. We got Mike Hammer. We got Milo Manara. He does some kind of adult stuff. This is Indian Summer. Might be worth something actually, a little bit bent. And we got some, let's see, Quarto Maltese. This is a nice reprint strip book as well. A couple of those. We got a early Dargard graphic novel. I'll have to look that up, see what that's worth. Let's see, then we have Comics Journal magazine. Some more Carrie Drakes. Here we go. Those are pretty nice. Let's get those out of the way. Another Quarto Maltese. Let's see what else we got in here. So we got another couple Pulps. They were just a separate box, so those will go into the pulp pile. Then it looks like we have a bunch of Cerebus reprints. Cerebus was hugely popular in the 80s. These reprint books used to be fantastic. Not quite as good as they used to be anymore, but it looks like there might be a complete set, or at least a good chunk of the earlier ones. Let's see what else we got here. All right, so that looks like all for the Cerebus books. So we got a whole big chunk of Cerebus reprint books here. Kind of a nice set. Probably end up selling that on eBay as a set. Don't know how much of the series it covers, but it's a good bit of the earlier ones for sure. See, that's pretty cool. Let's see what we got here now. We got a couple more magazines. So we got a couple, some nice EC reprint editions. So we got a couple of those. Nice EC reprints. Gotta love those. What did they do these in? These are in color. These are really nice. So these are probably actually worth pretty good money. I'll have to look those up. So we got those. Put those aside. Steve Canyon, another Steve Canyon. Then we got a little chunk of Will Eisner's Spirit and magazines. So a couple nice Spirit magazines here. Nice little chunk of stuff. Will Eisner did some great stuff on the Spirit in his work. And these are black and white magazines. Pretty cool. All right, now, one of the other things that caught my eye in this buy was these, and this is just a chunk of them. I know there's another big chunk of them in this one of these other boxes, but it's these reprint editions of classic Golden Age comics. They were done in black and white, but they were just really nice. Great covers. So we got the reprint of Young Allies #1. That's really cool. Pep Comics #1. don't know what this is. This is a reprint edition of something else on stage. Haven't heard of that, but I'll take a look. Here's another one of those Golden Age reprint books, All-Star Comics #1. And these look to be in really nice shape. I don't know what that's from, but yeah, just great reprint editions of Golden Age. So here's Hit Comics #1. Love that one. Here's a reprint of Special Edition Comics #1, Captain Marvel. We got World's Finest #7 reprint, super nice. We got a reprint of Military Comics #1. And these were made in the, let's see, 80s, I believe. Maybe they were late 70s and then 80s. Doesn't say in here. But these run anywhere from 10 to 30 bucks a piece. So here we got Special Comics #1, reprint edition of USA Comics #1, and a reprint of All-Star 4. So that chunk of stuff was something that definitely caught my eye. Besides the pulps, those really caught my eye because they're just really cool reprint editions of those early classic Golden Age comics, and they have some value as well. And I know, like I said, I know there's another chunk of these in another box, but that's what we got for the second box. So we will move on to the next one. All right, here we go. The next box. Let's see what we got in here. Let's get some of this out of here. All right. Looks like some pretty cool stuff in here, actually. All right, let's start covering some of this. So there was another pulp. So we got another pulp. That'll go in the pile of the pulp magazines. Another Western. Put that in the bag. I'll leave that on there. This looks like a really cool book. This is the complete first issues of Mad, trade paperback. I've never seen it. It's in color. Looks fantastic. So yeah, that'll probably be worth something. This looks like a really cool book. I don't think it's worth all that much. I've had it before, but the Comic Book in America, an Illustrated History by Mike Benton, who's actually, I bought a lot of his collection years ago here in Austin, Texas, but I know Mike, but yeah, this was a book by him. Great, book with lots of history and photos in it. Nice hardcover book. Next we got Electra Lives Again, Frank Miller. So another classic Frank Miller story, but it's sealed. It's still shrink wrapped, hardcover. That's probably pretty good in brand new condition like that. Here looks like a nice kind of fanzine book, Nostalgia About Comics. Haven't had this before. Color and black and white reprints of artwork from Golden Age comic books and other stuff, so it looks pretty cool. Probably have to read that myself before I go to sell it. Next we got, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6 issues of Torpedo 1936. Nice reprint set here. I don't know how many were in the set, but this could be the whole set. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to check. But we got 6 of them. Pretty cool. They look like they're in nice shape. Then we got Distant Soil, Knights of the Angel. So early graphic novel. Might not be worth much. We'll take a look. A couple more similar kinds of things, some early graphic novels, some independent titles. We'll take a look to see what they are, but they look like they're in pretty nice shape. Here we got a nice Batman, the Sunday Classics, reprints newspaper strips, Batman newspaper strips this time. And again, it's a Sunday edition, so nice in color, cool Batman stuff. This covers 1943 to 1946. Let's see, then we got a little chunk of, well, here's a Timothy Truman, I believe. Yeah, Timothy Truman, Wilderness, early graphic novel. Distant Soil, early graphic novel. And we got some softcover and hardcover Flash Gordon reprint books. So we got a couple softcover reprints and then a hardcover reprint. These are all reprinting Flash Gordon newspaper strips. So nice reprints of early Flash Gordon stuff from the newspaper. let's see what else we got in here. So we got a slew of like little cartoon newspaper strip reprints. Here's one of the guy who did can't remember what that title is. Burke Breathed. I can't remember what his title is, but it's kind of newspaper restrips. We got a set of I-beam. These are actually pretty good for a while. Guy did a newspaper strip, but 3 of them, 3 I-beam reprints. There's a Doonesbury Raymond Chandler Mystery Men. I don't know what this is. An interesting thing. It looks like it folds out with a mystery map of Los Angeles. So I'll have to take a look, do a little research on that. We got Pfeiffer's Marriage Manual, some kind of cartoons from newspapers. Spicy Western Stories. This reprints stuff from Pulps. Spicy Detective Stories. Reprints, again, stuff from Pulps. This is kind of nice. We got a hardcover version of Art Spiegelman's Mouse, a classic graphic novel, and pretty readily available. This is Mouse 2, so this is volume 2. These are usually readily available, but they're usually the softcover edition, so it's nice to see a hardcover. Now we got the rest of this box has some stuff I was pretty excited about too, and I didn't see this until I got there. But these are a bunch of the oversized Treasury, DC, and Marvel. So first we got Superman, Spider-Man. This one's actually worth a decent amount too. I know that offhand. Pretty nice shape. Then we got Tarzan. Then we got a couple of the famous first editions. We got Detective 27 reprint and Action Comics 1 reprint. These are awesome, oversized reprints of the original comic book. So they're exact reprints inside, they're just way bigger. And I know myself and a lot of other people, we get calls all the time with people who think they have Detective Comics 27, think it's worth a lot of money. It's really a copy of one of these, and this outer cover's been removed. So there's really no way to tell except that it's much, much bigger than the original comic was. So get lots of calls about people who think they have like an Action Comics 1, and it turns out it's really just a damaged first edition, famous first editions. But those are really cool reprints. Then we got a Batman Treasury. Pretty cool House of Mysteries Treasury. I like that. That's nice. We got Shazam. Reprints the first Captain Marvel. This might be pretty good. This is the Steranko History of the Comics 2, so it's kind of the same size. But Steranko kind of talks about the history of comics. This is probably pretty good. Then we got another copy of Shazam, and then another Shazam, a different edition. So we got 2 of those. These are all actually look to be in really nice shape too. We got Christmas with the Superheroes. Nice DC Treasury size. That's pretty cool. And famous first editions for All-Star Comics #1. So like I said, lots of really cool Golden Age reprint stuff in here. These treasuries are great, and some of them are worth a lot. And we got Spectacular Spider-Man treasury size. That's pretty nice. And the final thing from this box is treasury size of the Bible. And this is Joe Kubert did these stories out of the Bible. It's actually pretty nice. So that's it for that box, and we'll move on to the next. All right, continuing on down the line. Let's see what's in the next box. This one looks like it doesn't have that many items in it because there's some really big items. So first, taking up a lot of the box are these great Little Lulu library sets. So we got 2 of them. 2 Little Lulu library. Each of them has 3 hardcover books in it. 3 nice hardcover books. They talk about the history of Little Lulu, and then they have black and white reprints of the title. So 6 total books, 2 sets. Pretty nice shape. Some minor scuffing to the bottom of the slipcases, but really nice overall. These are nice Golden Age comic book reprint stuff. Put this back into the slipcase here. So yeah, 2 of those. That took up a lot of the box, so this one doesn't have as much stuff in it. But here's kind of a nice pile of hardcover reprint books. 5 more of the Flash Gordon. So 5 hardcover books, These again reprint the Flash Gordon newspaper strips. Just some nice, really nice reprint books here. Then we have this slipcase, which is the Barry Windsor Smith Storyteller, reprinting of 1 through 12. It looks like it might be missing a few, but I don't know. We'll have to look at that. But it's got nice, large size comics in it. Slipcase set. If it's complete, it's pretty good. We'll have to take a look though. So that was in there too. Pretty cool. And then the rest of this box is just some hardcover graphic novels. So it looks like we have 2 copies of Fables, 1000 Nights of Snowfall, Bill Williamson. Both brand new, sealed, and shrink wrapped. So those are good. Then we've got the Pride of Baghdad hardcover graphic novel, shrink wrapped, sealed. We've got a John Constantine Hellblazer, all his engines. Again, brand new, sealed, and shrink wrap. Pretty good. Then we've got 2 of the DC archived editions. First one is the Shazam Family, Volume 1. This reprints the old Master Comics and other Captain Marvel titles from the Golden Age. Really nice book, shrink wrapped, sealed. And then I really liked this one, the DC Archive edition of Enemy Ace, Volume 2. Again, brand new and sealed in shrink wrap, but just reprints of great Silver Age Enemy Ace books. So that was all that was in this box. Like I said, some pretty big things, but some pretty cool ones. So let's move on. All right, let's see. It looks like we're on box number 6, I think. Let's see what we got next. This one's pretty heavy. Let's see what we got in here. Okay, got some of this. So first of all, pretty cool. I think this is the only Golden Age actual comic book I found in here. It's sealed in some kind of plastic case. It's a Hopalong Cassidy number 51, I think. Looks like it's in decent shape, but pretty cool. An actual Golden Age comic book in there. Wasn't expecting that. We got a book about Al Williamson and his art, so that's pretty neat. He was a Golden Age artist, did a lot of EC work and other titles, other companies, but great history book on comic book history. Looks like we got a little chunk of Will Eisner's Quarterly magazine. So we got 4 of those. 5, 6, 7 of those. Nice fanzine magazine. We got another one of those EC reprint books, weird fantasy, color reprints, really cool. We got a Will Eisner Spirit Color Album, Volume 3. So again, reprint stuff of classic Will Eisner Spirit comic books. That's pretty cool. We got an Astros. So I kind of like the Astros stuff. So that's pretty good. It's a French title, I think. We got like some fanzine magazines called Big Fun. They look like they're reprinting Golden Age strips, and that's exactly what they are. Captain Easy strips. We got stuff from, looks like mostly Captain Easy, so those are cool. We got a softcover book called Women in the Comics. Looks pretty cool. Again, I love this comic book history stuff, so this is kind of like talking about Golden Age superhero stuff with women in it, Miss Fury and other titles. Looks like some great history in there. All right, so we have a bunch of these. Let's see. These are actually pretty good. So these are all softcover graphic novels, Modesty Blaze, reprints of newspaper strips, I believe, black and white. These are actually pretty good on Amazon. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those. So those will actually be a nice chunk of money back. They're really nice reprint books. Another asterisk. And let's see what this is. Some kind of independent, Dark Horse produced independent title. I never heard of it. It's just called Spumco Comic Books. I don't know if it's reprinting some international stuff, but I'll have to take a look at those. They look kind of cool, and they are in color. So that looks pretty cool. Let's see what else we got in here. This box is loaded with various magazines and all sorts of stuff. So a couple of those empty plastic cases, put those to use somewhere. But then we have, let's see, Francis Ford Coppola's Zoetrope All Story, some kind of magazine, fanzine magazine, maybe about movies. I'm not really sure what this is. Yeah, it looks like it's about movies. So we got, you never know, I'll have to look these up. These could be good. So a couple of those. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those. We'll take a look and see what those are worth. We got number 1 of Noble Causes, just a random comic book in there. Another Steve Canyon reprint magazine. Michael Moorcock's The Swords of Heaven, early graphic novel. Not really stored quite properly. You can see it's a little bit bent. The Black Condor. This reprints Golden Age stuff as well. Black and white reprints. Nice softcover book. Here's 2 more of the Modesty Blaze. So those are going to be pretty good. This is a great book. Harvey Kurtman's Strange Adventures, hardcover. Early graphic novel from the Marvel Epic line, but it's the hardcover edition. You know, color, Harvey Kurtzman stuff. So this is actually probably pretty valuable. It's really cool. And then it looks like we got a pile of more Steve Canyon magazine. So we got a bunch of those. I don't know how many, but a nice slew of them. These are kind of like, they're, I don't know if I call them graphic novels or magazines. They're a little bit square bound. The early reprints of stuff. There's 2, 3, 7 of them. So those are good too. We're not done with this box though. It's still got more stuff. It looks like a bunch of magazines, but let's see what we got. Some of these cool fanzine magazines can be pretty good. So here we go. We got something called the Television Chronicles. Never heard of it before, but it looks like a fanzine on classic old TV stuff. Let me just see if that's all of them. I think that's all of them. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these. 10 or 11, 3, 6, I think 10. But they look pretty cool. They're like early fanzine for TV stuff. I'll have to take a look to see those. I've never heard of them, but they do look pretty interesting. A nice little pile of those. And what I do with a lot of this stuff, if I can't sell it myself or I don't want to, this is stuff that I might trade to my comic shop and get trade credit, which I then use to buy cool Golden Age or Silver Age comic books. So this could be a perfect thing to trade to them. I'll have to see. Maybe I can sell it myself, or maybe I get more on trade. But yeah, pretty cool stuff there. So let's put that down. Now we got some more kind of fanzines here. Let's see what we got. We got a bunch of titles by a magazine called Film Facts. So again, this is more like classic old movie and TV fanzine stuff. I don't know much about it, but we'll find out. Film Facts. Film Facts presents Outre, I don't know. But a bunch of those, so we'll look those up, see what those are worth anything. We got Films of the Golden Age, another film fanzine. Films of the Golden Age. Here's another couple Television Chronicles, and a couple more. There's another Television Chronicles, so we do have a bunch of those. Maybe we have the whole set, I don't know. And some more film facts. So lots of cool magazines in this box. And then one Logic Puzzles collections. This will probably go in my recycling pile. Not related to comic books or anything I'd be interested in. But pretty cool box. Some good stuff. So I guess it's time to move on to the next one. Okay, last of the printer paper boxes. Just one more to go. It doesn't have much in it, so this will be a pretty quick box. And after that, we move on to the 4 remaining short boxes that are actual comic books. The first thing in this box was kind of cool. It didn't get stored very well, so it's kind of bent, you can see, but it's a Frank Frazetta calendar from 1978. Really kind of a cool item. It is a little bent. Maybe I can like put it on between some bricks on something flat and try to flatten it out a little bit. We'll see. But great old calendar. Pretty cool. And so again, this box doesn't have much in it. Looks like kind of more of the same kind of stuff that we saw in some of those other boxes. So here we have a bunch of Will Eisner Spirit magazines. Let's see how many we got here. Good chunk of them. So Will Eisner. Okay, so pretty large chunk of Spirit magazine, Will Eisner. This is the kitchen sink comics. Just some cool magazines, reprinting some of the great Will Eisner Spirit stuff from the Golden Age comic books. So just a nice big pile of those. Pretty cool. Look like they're in pretty nice shape overall. Let's see, we got 3, 6, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15 of them. So 15 Will Eisner Spirit magazines. Then we got a kind of a square bound graphic novel, the Outer Space Spirit Will Eisner. More reprint stuff, but kind of cool. And then these look like they weren't stored all that great. You can see they're bent a little bit, but these are all Steve Canyon, kind of square bound reprint editions, Steve Canyon. Just some cool reprint stuff as well. And then finally in this box, last thing in this box was 1941 The Shadow. It's hardcover, one of the early Marvel graphic novels, just the hardcover edition with the dust jacket, so that could be good, who knows. So again, that box was pretty small. We're done with the boxes that were in the printer paper. The printer paper boxes, that's all like the graphic novels and the magazines. What's left is 4 short boxes of comic books. There may be a few graphic novels in there, kind of the normal sized ones, but we'll take a quick look through those. I'll probably give you kind of a quick skim and then maybe do a highlight of anything cool I find. Let's move on. Okay, we're done with the boxes that were in the printer paper boxes. That was all the graphic novels and hardcovers and fanzines and magazines and stuff like that. So now we're going to move on to the 4 short boxes of actual comic books. I took a quick look, pulled out some of the better stuff I'll show you, just kind of run through it quick. So the first one had a couple of these comic strip reprint things. They're kind of cool, nothing super special, but I like them. Then it had a few comics I pulled out that might be worth something. So we got this Black Cat comic book, kind of a spin-off from the Golden Age series. We got a Sergio Aragonese Massacres Marvel. I think that might actually be worth something. We got one of these Darkseid and Galactus the Hungers. And again, these were not stored perfectly. There wasn't enough comics in there, so a little bent. But still, this is a John Byrne, a great prestige edition, and that's actually worth something. Then one of the nice things in this box was an actual graphic novel. So it's this Marvel Fantastic First. It's a nice hardcover in a slipcase. It reprints some really cool first edition of Marvel comics like Hulk 1, Spider-Man, The Amazing Fantasy 15, like X-Men 1. It's got kind of all the first issues of the classic Marvel series in it. Nice hardcover book. in a slipcase with a little bookmark. The price on it originally was $125, so I'll have to take a look and see if it still goes for that or more. I don't really know, but it's a nice addition. Then we had some kind of general graphic novels in this short box. So The Wizard's Tale, don't know much about it, but I'll have to take a look. We got The Greatest Batman Stories Ever Told. This is a classic trade paperback. We got The Greatest Joker Stories Ever Told, another classic. And something called Stuck Rubber Baby. I've never heard of it. Looks like an independent title. It's actually got some pretty good art now that I'm flipping through it. Kind of cool. Looks kind of like Basil Wolverton style. But cool independent title. We'll have to look that up and see if it's worth anything. The other really good thing in this short box was the remainder of these flashback Golden Age reprint titles. So we got another big chunk of those. We got America's Greatest Comics, All Winners #1, America's Greatest Comics. Is that the same edition? #1 and 7. Marvel Comics #4 reprint. Silver Street Comics #1 reprint. Captain America #2 reprint. All American Comics 24 reprint. And again, these reprints run $10 to $30 depending on condition and which titles it is. So these are just fantastic old reprints. Spy Smasher #1, Human Torch #1, and Daredevil Battles Hitler, an all-time classic Golden Age cover. So those were great items in this box. And then kind of the remainder of the box was just a chunk of kind of filler stuff, I would say. Kind of fits the same theme that I've been showing you the whole time from this guy. So he had Doc Savage and Spirit reprints and the Shadow kind of reprint stuff. There was a nice chunk of The Tick, a bunch of issues. So stuff along that line. Some independents, some DC, just kind of a pile of random comic books, but some pretty cool stuff. All right, we'll move on to the second box. All right, we are on the second box of short box of comic books. So this one was, I'd say mostly filler, but I did pull out a couple cool things. So we got a couple of the very last few issues of the NAM, and some of the last issues are actually valuable because they started getting really low print runs. So a couple, those aren't bad. A couple last issues. There's a chunk of Cave Woman stuff. So this is kind of like a semi-adult, sexy Cave Woman comic book. Some of these can be pretty valuable. So there's a nice little chunk of those. Then we had a chunk of actual graphic novels. Now the stuff in this box was definitely not stored properly. You can kind of see how it's bent, but some decent graphic novels. So we got a Max. We got The Greatest Superman Stories Ever Told. Here's another Max. We got Thunder Agent's Companion. Again, with this bend, I'll either gonna have to sell them really cheap, or maybe I'll just trade them to my comic shop if they'll take them. Get some trade credit and trade it in for some better stuff. Here's another Max. And the Spider, Pulp Hero. So again, those are kind of damaged, nothing great, but they were in there. Then we got a negative burn graphic novel as well. Nothing amazing. This box did have, though, a little tiny pile of Silver Age DC war comics. Some of them are pretty ratty, and I'll kind of show you a better shot of them, but here's a nice Our Army at War 130, another Our Army at War. So we got a nice little chunk of Our Army at War here, Silver Age stuff, probably goods, maybe a few very goods. Here's another Our Army at War. We got a GI Combat, Our Army at War. We got, I don't know, this might be the first one, Enemy Ace Showcase. This might be the first Enemy Ace. Looks a little beat up, but could be worth some money. And we got some more Our Army at Wars. So this is a nice little chunk of DC War Comics. This is what, I don't remember if this is like reprints the Origin. I know this issue is worth more than the ones around it. It's number 151. I don't remember why, but that's a good one. So more Army War. So this is a nice little surprise chunk of actual Silver Age comic books in this otherwise collection of 80s stuff. So those could add up. And even though they're some of them are kind of beat up, they could be pretty good. So we'll take a look at those. And then the rest of this box was basically all filler. So we got this many comic books in there, a lot of kind of like Valiant and Acclaim, but these are like the later ones of the titles, which I say only because they're usually much better to get like trade credit off of my comic shop. Some of the later stuff, not the early Valiant craze in the 90s, just is too common now. But yeah, these are some of the later issues, and so this box will result in some pretty good trade. Just a lot of like independent stuff and Valiant and Acclaim. So if I'm going to be buying bulk comics like this, just kind of bulk filler comics, this is kind of what I want to get. Really cheap, but I want to get it because I can trade this off for better stuff. So that's it for that box. We got 2 more short boxes of comics, so let's take a look at what's in them. Okay, we're getting there. 2 more short boxes to go, so let's move on. So we took a look at this short box. Again, 3/4 of it probably filler, but I pulled out a few interesting items. First, we got a Star Trek graphic novel. Might be okay. Nice little chunk of Frank Miller, Sin City comic books. So these are nice. Those are pretty good. We got a Betty Page comics. That could be worth something. There were a couple, there was like a bigger graphic novel on the side of the box, Wonder Woman, Amazonia, a little bit damaged from being stuck in the side of the box, but that's okay. 2 kind of digest-sized Tick things, Tick Funhouse. I've not seen those before. Sometimes this kind of stuff can be kind of more rare and valuable. We got a Tarzan graphic novel. Then we had a nice little pile of DC Marvel amalgam stuff. So I kind of like these. These are kind of the, if they squashed a DC and a Marvel character together, what would it be? You got like Dark Claw and various other combo heroes. So this was kind of a nice series. Get a nice little chunk like that and sell them all as kind of like one lot. Then this box also had kind of a nice big chunk of prestige stuff. A lot of it's the DC Elseworlds editions, and some of those are really good. So like this one is pretty good. The Elseworlds Finest with Supergirl and Batgirl. That's a good one. This Batman Captain America one by John Byrne. That one's worth some pretty good money. And then this one's probably the best one of them, the Superman Spider-Man, or the Batman Spider-Man one. That's a good, I don't know, $20 prestige edition. And then just some kind of random ones, Elseworlds Finest and Superman, Wonder Woman. These are all just kind of nice little sets. We got Justice Riders, Superman the Dark Side. We got Superman for all ages. I think a full set of those, 1 through 4. And another Elseworlds Finest. And then we got a Flaming Carrot Comics Annual 1. Don't know if that's worth money, but it could be, so I pulled it out. And that was really it for this box. The rest, like I said, about 3/4 of the box I would call filler. This box was actually packaged better, so they're in better condition. There was a lot of just Marvel and DC stuff in this box, like Adventures of Superman and just various other Image titles and a lot of Superman related stuff. Just good, solid, modern comics. I can either bulk these out in group lots of a kind of a grab bag lot, or a lot of it will go to my comic shop and trade and just get 50 cents to $1 a piece in trade for the ones they're taking, which again, I just trade out for cool Silver Age and Gold Age books. So pretty good filler box of modern comic books there. And we just got one more box in this collection, so let's get to it. Okay, last box, and then we're done with the collection. So I went through this short box, probably about a little more than a half filler, but found a few things. So here's a Elf Quest, kind of digest-sized graphic novel. That's pretty cool. Then this box had a big chunk of Gru. Gru in general is not necessarily great, but it's actually kind of a run of all the last issues, all the way up to the last issue. And again, this series had, the last issues are actually the most valuable because the print run started to get really small. So that's actually pretty good. And same thing here, we got the NAM, including the last issue, a couple more of the final issues of that. Low print runs, so that's good as well. And then along the same lines, we had Conan. Conan the Barbarian, huge, long series for Marvel. But this is kind of a run all the way up to the very last issue, which is, actually worth some money. So again, the later issues are the ones that have the lower print runs. So that's a nice little run of Conan, actually, as well. Then we had a few oddball things. This Minimum Wage, kind of an independent title, might be worth something. We had a 32 stories from Optic Nerve, small graphic novel, could be worth something. And then there was just a book in there, The Collected Writings of Ambrose Bierce. Kind of a cool book, nothing to do with comic books, but it was thrown in. Take a look and see if that's worth anything. And then that's really it. Then we had just the remainder of the box, kind of like the last one, maybe a little more than half, filler, similar kinds of stuff, some Golden Age reprint stuff, some more Gru, some more Conan, just some general DC, independent Marvel titles, but kind of off-stream stuff, so good for trading, good for bulking into lots. Overall, very happy with this collection. So that's it. That's everything from the collection. We'll see how I did.